Welcome back to the 2-Minute Warning, back on the topic of the NFL, talking LA Chargers. Earlier this week, Brandon Staley, when asked about the Chargers O-line, he said, yes, there certainly is a hole. He's talking about at left tackle that needs to be addressed. Those were Staley's words, and today Jay and I are going to be really reacting to that statement because I do think that really changes what we're looking at for the draft and for the Chargers. And as far as the question of the day for you Chargers fans, I want to know who do you want to see the Chargers take? Obviously, ideally, would you rather it be the best O-lineman, the best cornerback, or would it be Kyle Pitts? Whoever it is, I just want to hear, if you in the perfect world, who would you want to see the Chargers take? But, Jay, what do you think this means for Brandon Staley to say this?
I love it. Brandon Staley, defensive-minded. I'm really surprised. I still think cornerback is on his mind. But for him to be realistic and address the problem, that's exactly what you want to see in your brand-new head coach. Unfortunately, it still won't be up to him. Tom Telesco, the GM, will of course, have the final say. But you can't say Brandon Staley doesn't have an influence. And I know a lot of people immediately are thinking Penei Sewell. And I'm for a trade for Penei Sewell 100%, but I'm going to stay a little bit realistic and think now if it's between maybe a corner and J.C. Horn or Christian Darrisaw, this quote, this interview is kind of making me think we're looking at Darrisaw, and maybe in the second, third, fourth rounds we're looking at a corner instead, such as Asante Samuel from FSU. Chargers fans, I know you love him, and you've even said trade back up in the late first round to get him because you don't know if he'll fall to 47 in the second round, and I'm for that as well. But no matter what the Chargers do, I think they're looking at a good spot right now with the team's trading up. But right now, I think we're looking at Darrisaw, and with him saying the left tackles, we know it needs to be addressed. I think Elijah Vera-Tucker, he might have taken a step back for the Chargers. Of course, they're still going to look at best player available, but I do think Darrisaw took the jump on Elijah Vera-Tucker now, if it wasn't already there. I do think Darrisaw might have had the step over him already, but if it wasn't neck and neck, this for sure gave him the edge, in my opinion.
Yeah, I like this by Staley. Obviously, a little bit surprising because I do think at 13, obviously with Staley being a defensive guy, I mean, you'll have a good cornerback available at 13. Odds are, even if it's not Surtain at the top, you might have a shot at Farley or certainly J.C. Horn, I think, at the 13th pick. So I guess, before this, maybe you think Staley, defensive guy, is going to go for that. So this changes that a little bit. The Chargers did obviously change their O-line. They added Matt Filer. You got Bulaga there. You add Oday Abushi, who, looking at his stats, was really effective last year. So I do think that the Chargers O-line certainly has made a large jump up from last year being last in the league. But when you look at that left tackle spot, Herbert's blind side, it's certainly an important spot to be solid. So for Staley to put that on his priority, I love that because it's you think, like I said, he's a defensive guy. You think he's going to be all defense. This shows that he's expanding in that, and this might be why the Chargers gave him the job because he showed knowledge in all parts of the game. So I like this by Staley.
Yeah, and some might think, well, we did address it in free agency. Corey Linsley, best center in the NFL. Oday Abushi, Matt Filer, 2 new guards, 2 new centers. Brian Bulaga won't be banged up. Left tackle, of course, that's important, but Justin Herbert managed with the worst offensive line, according to PFF, in the NFL last year. He's going to have it not worse by any means with this new shape. Left tackle, as much as we want it, he's already going to get a little bit of help. Maybe we want to look at corner or receiver or tight end, Kyle Pitts. But at the end of the day, if you give Justin Herbert the best offensive line, he will make it worth your while. Keenan Allen, his numbers will go up. Same with Mike Williams, Austin Eckler, your new tight end, Jared Cook, maybe Donald Parham will start to get some action, your 6'8" tight end. So to me, yes, you did address it, but no team is perfect. Every team can have improvement to some extent. And the Chargers, I like what they're doing on the offensive line, but of course they could address more. And to me, my perfect scenario at this point is what I said earlier, Christian Darrisaw, and hopefully pick up Asante Samuel Jr. from FSU to pick up play in that cornerback position. Brandon Staley also in the universe said he wants to go with a man-to-man coverage, and Asante Samuel Jr., that is his strong suit. So to me, that is a perfect world. But of course, if Rashawn Slater, Penei Sewell is available, I'm not going to take Darrisaw over them, but in a realistic word, that is my matchup.
Yeah, on a similar note, I like what you brought up about Darrisaw. He looks like the best and also most realistic option at O-line at this point, with Staley saying that they want to address the left tackle spot. But if Sewell slips, you take him. If a guy like Kyle Pitts is somehow there at 13th, I don't think that this statement from Staley means they're going O-line all the way. So like I said, if Pitts is there, you take him. And you do make an interesting point that the Chargers O-line now should be leaps and bounds better than last year. So do you take the pick to just 100% strengthen that, or do you branch out? You go defense, or you just touched on it. Yeah. But do you build your O-line as good as you can, or do you say, okay, it's better than it is last year, let's spread out a little bit and maybe build the defense?
Yeah, my last thesis was kind of like split. It was offensive line, first round, defense, second round. But, I mean, first round, you take J.C. Horn, and second round, you take Asante Samuel Jr. You're looking at one of the top secondaries in the NFL, and that is not a bad route because, like we said, Justin Herbert's already getting improvement with the offensive line. And Jared Cook, not the greatest blocker, but if he could teach Donald Parham anything, a 6'8" freak, you got an extra offensive lineman on that team. So I would not mind the strong defensive route in this NFL draft. And Brandon Staley, he'll make it worth your while. So, and I guess you could go offensive line as well, focusing that on him first round, and Christian Darrisaw, second round, focus on him more. To me, I'm not against going all four one side, but the balance is probably the best option.
Yeah, I'm thinking you got a second-year quarterback. He's young. His future's bright. You got to protect him. I think that making O-line the priority is 100% the right thing to do. And again, I just bring up the fact that Staley, I'm impressed the fact that he's prioritizing O-line. I mean, that seems like an obvious thing to do. But he's a defensive guy, and we figured that everything he'd want to do would be defensively prioritized. But I think prioritizing the O-line is the smart thing.
Yeah, and Brandon Staley in the interview said the words along the line, we need to address it. And that doesn't mean first round. He said we can address it free agency. There's still guys out there. We can address it in trade.
He was clear that the O-line was certainly better than it was.
Yes.
But this hole still exists.
But with him, to me, pivoting and saying, he didn't say it for no reason, the fact that we don't have to address it in the draft. There's trades out there as well. We know a lot of you Chargers fans have talked about an Orlando Brown trade with the Ravens getting their tackle. That is a decent round as well. It all depends on the price. To me, if you're thinking about trading for Orlando Brown, you might as well think about trading up for Penei Sewell. We know he has already mentioned that he would love to play with Justin Herbert again. They used to be teammates in Oregon. So to me, if you're looking at a trade, I'm going draft and going with the young Penei Sewell who has chemistry with Herbert. But no matter how you fix a position, no matter how you address it, as long as someone is filled in, the Chargers are making a good effort and going a good route.
Yeah, and Sewell, you said it. His quote, his words were, "It would be a dream come true to reunite with Herbert." Obviously, Herbert was good in college, was never as good as he is right now in the NFL. I think he's really taken a step up. And as far as, again, back on Staley in defense, he's still got chances in free agency to do things on the defensive side of the ball. Maybe that's his plan.
Richard Sherman.
You could get Clowney. You could re-sign Melvin Ingram. There's plenty of options that I do think Staley could work with on the defensive side of the ball to be able to prioritize O-line. Again, Chargers going to next year look really good, and I don't know. I like the fact that they're going to try to do the O-line and give Herbert protection.
Yeah, and I keep going back and forth between, should we trade up for Penei Sewell? Should we just take Darrisaw? There's always the middle ground option of, if Sewell falls to 8, that's awesome in a sense because it shows Rashawn Slater might fall to 11 or 12 or 10. And I'm not saying trade up for Sewell, but Sewell, I think it's pretty well understood that he's going to go before Rashawn Slater. And to me, if Sewell falls to a 7 or 8, I'm not saying go up for him, but that means that Rashawn Slater will fall to a 9, 10, or 11, and that might be worth going up for. It doesn't cost as much, and you're still addressing the position. And Rashawn Slater, he can play the positions 1 through 5 anywhere on that offensive line, so that is another middle ground thing as well. You're not settling for Darrisaw, but you're not forfeiting everything for Penei Sewell. Middle ground, Rashawn Slater, a lot of options, and I can't wait for the NFL draft.
Yeah, middle ground with one of the best O-lineman in the draft. Yeah, we said it in a previous video about whether or not the Chargers should trade up, that we don't necessarily want to see them give up everything to trade up to the 5th pick overall to really, that would kind of guarantee you, not guarantee you at all, but would give you a great shot at getting Sewell. But Jay, you said it perfectly. You trade up, middle ground, won't cost you a lot, and you'll get one of the best O-linemen in the draft. So again, there's our video, of course, kind of reacting to Brandon Staley. Again, his words were that there's certainly a hole at left tackle, and they want to address that. I like that from the Chargers. But as far as question of the day, Jay, you got any pick in the draft, first round, who you want on the Chargers?
I'm going to give 2. Any pick in the draft, I'm going to go with Penei Sewell. I said that last video, but realistically, I think Rashawn Slater is a realistic pick, and that will be my ideal realistic pick. But dream pick, Penei Sewell.
Yeah, I like offense. I like Kyle Pitts out of Florida. My dream pick for the Chargers would be Kyle Pitts, but realistically, I like Darrisaw or Rashawn Slater. That's probably the most realistic option for the Chargers. But again, it looks like they're going O-line, and I like that move for them a lot. Guys, thanks for watching 2 Minute Warning.